Behind a face is a mask. Behind a mask tells a story. Hi all, this is Aspie. I'm doing a part 2 of the autism and masking. For those of you who don't know me, I welcome you all. I'm AspieAnswers, and I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life story based on autism as well as suspicious syndrome and the like, as well as tips and advice with your general health versus your mental health, as well as your fun and games that you may see. So if you're into any of these, feel free to subscribe on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and don't forget while you're down there to turn on the notification bell so you can keep up to date with the future videos that will be presented to you guys. This will be much appreciated. So as you're aware, while you've been following me, you may be thinking, what is silly Aspie wearing? I'm wearing this for a reason, obviously, because as I said, I'm talking about autism and masking, right? As we know, basically, this is a common trait known for autistics alike, be it males and females. Just to clarify from my last video, if I didn't clarify it already, because obviously at this point in time, I believe that we need to address this right now, because obviously people get a bit confused or at least misunderstand to the reasons to why this is happening, you know, and hopefully today I can clarify it up. I shared earlier, like in my part 1, a little bit about this versus also, if it does sound repetitive, just a little bit briefly how it affects me and when did it all begin for me and all that, and I'll link that in the I bar above me if you want to know more about the very first part of this autism and masking. But just as a recap, autism, or shall we say masking, is defined as, or is actually commonly known as, a behavioural trait within the autistic community, be it females and males, but sometimes, majority of the time from what I see, is females. There are various reasons to why that is. So therefore, while in saying this, while the females are obviously masking, or even the males, he say, we'll put it out there, even though I was trying to address it as females, you know, because, you know, autistic females do it more, so I apologise. What they do, basically, in saying this, we're in the society, it's a social mimicry that is usually used to mask any other autistic traits or to hide away the traits so that it doesn't show up in the social settings. Be it if, like he say, a classic example, if we were at a party, here's say, if we were invited to one, there's loud noises going on. We see people in the corner gathering at the food table, talking and laughing away. Some of us will try and, you know, copy and think, is this the way that we should be acting as well, even if we feel a bit uncomfortable in our own skin. Sometimes we may suppress our feelings and emotions, as well as, even if the loud noises affect some of us that are really sensitive to noise, if there's loud thumping noises going on in the background, that will try our very hardest, some of us maybe, to suppress our meltdowns, so that hope, or the overload, and hope for the best that it doesn't really affect us in the long haul. But that also can be a real bad thing. I've already shared some parts about the meltdowns and the causes and everything else. Again, I'll link it in the description and the I bar above me so that you can follow through those series if you would like some information on that. But back to this though. This will mean, basically, in saying this though, for the autistics alike, they will consciously employ certain everyday techniques from the social observation, he say the classic one I'm sharing with you all today, of us being invited to a party, you know, and then in saying this, we might have some forceful attempts to make eye contact, engage conversation with you all, and whatever, just in order to blend in and better adapt in that kind of environment to, you know, socially interact and engage with you all. In this social landscape, however, it's just to prevent the autistic traits from sticking out, because obviously for our autistic traits, for some of us, it sticks out like a sore thumb, apparently, of what we, you know, what we show. Most of us do. But remember, every autistic is different and how they display their traits and characteristics. So don't forever think just because you met one autistic that they're all the same. No, they're far from it. There are many different types out there with different traits. You may not see the autism, however, but while in saying this, it's still behind the mask that they're hiding of their face or inside themselves, he say. Some autistics, however, may even carry multiple masks at one given time to be used for different audiences, depending on who they are engaging with. Masking mainly tends to happen among girls, obviously, with autism rather than boys, as I clearly addressed earlier. Boys also have shown signs of masking, but not to the same extent as females. Studies have shown that autistic women are generally better at recognizing emotions than their male peers, obviously. We're more empathetic with the caring, nurture kind of, characteristics that we have as a female in general, and maybe for us autistics, if we are. And I believe also in saying this that, we all have a different role for male and female, as I said before, when it comes down to well-being, be it in the mental health and, physical, spiritual health. But I'll share more that later, hopefully, about men's mental health state versus females' trait on that. If you want to hear more, let me know. Comment section below or smash the like. But in saying this, though, from what I can recall as well, but for the females, recognizing emotions of the autistic females almost as good as, in fact, the neurotypicals. And she has shown greater social attentiveness, which feeds into our ability to mask behind what's going on. So as you know, when I briefly shared what my life story is all about, but me, masking in general, for me to try and socially adapt, like I said, I try to keep it under the radar of my Aspie's syndrome, hearsay, when it comes down to socializing. Not many people may realize, because I might appear normal to you guys when I'm acting, even if I am acting a bit distant and hearsay, not looking at you all the time and whatnot. I used to be bad at that, just not engaging with you guys and making eye contact, even though many people thought I was just a bit rude, abrupt, and whatever other label mentality, but I can share that life story in the above card above me. Without realizing it, though, basically, I was obviously just unnoticed, unseen, and whatnot while I was doing these natural behaviours. At some time in my life, as I was transitioning, before I found out that I was different, basically, I felt that, was this a good way to actually act around you guys, from observing things around me, be it whatever it may be. A classic example, if I was in a party or whatever it may be. Also in saying this, the supposed acts thing from observing things around me, be it if also while I've been, scripting up things in my mindset versus maybe what I've read online or via books or watching everyday films, I always thought, well, is this the way to go? In saying this, though, I believed, regardless I was being ignored and that not many people noticed me, I believed I felt really good at just being invisible, even if it was my fault. I don't know, as I was transitioning from a young girl to a young woman, when it came down to this, basically stages of different phases of my life, with this masking, camouflaging, and everything else that I've shared so far, that is it my fault to be left alone or isolated, even though I would love to be included in certain group activities? Well, at least I thought in between my meltdowns when I had, even though I had a few meltdowns once in a while as I was transitioning, and still to this day I still do, however, have a few meltdowns, and some come unannounced without me knowing, which is a scary thought. So social masking in girls, though, is thought to be one of the primary reasons that women with autism usually often go undetected into adulthood, right? Due to the, classic other diagnoses, be it, anxiety and all these other mental health conditions that spruces up, and sometimes we also get misdiagnosed at an earlier age based on these diagnoses, before it may come into that full circle of thinking, okay, this must be autism, oh, okay, this must be Aspie's syndrome, whatever it may be. Research, however, suggested that the ability to mask even prevents those who have been flagged for assessment for getting the formal diagnosis that they may need. In addition to this, a recent survey of autistic adults reported universal exhaustion from their masking, which is fair deal. Like I said with one of my videos about the social energy tank, I'm sure it's under my friendships and socialization playlist, which I'll list above me also, so that you can have a terms to grip what I'm meaning of the social energy tank. Which is why it is important that we develop better diagnostic tools for women on the spectrum. Obviously, I've noticed that majority of the time, females gets missed with certain diagnoses. As I said, autism and that has been clearly addressed for children at the moment, and it needs to be shared more about hopefully doing more research and everything else, as well as having the right diagnostic tools for actually when we're transitioning from teens to adults, because obviously, as I said before, I can't stress it enough, some of the autistic traits may prevalently show at a later date in life for many of us. But I've got a link here to read the full article about this, and I'll link it in the description below for you. So the root of autistic masking. So you may be questioning, why do we mask us autistics? Well, there's a few classic reasons why. One could be anxiety and or inhibition. Inhibition because they realized or sensed from and early on that they were different and struggled in interactions. Here's a classic example, as I shared before, of my life story. Before I found out that I was different and everything else. They are likely to have been excluded from their peers or the group. They've been ridiculed or bullied. Once in a while, everybody gets bullied from whoever it may be in their life for being different or whatever it may be. They also may have pressure upon themselves to actually fit in, blend in and everything else with the neurotypicals, because obviously we all want to feel accepted, right? They may also have developed a phobia about being told off by teachers, their peers, or the parents, or even just by being unpopular by their peers, right? You know what? It's the sad thing about this situation, aside from children not being given either a diagnosis or help that they need, is that us autistics can't be ourselves. Because again, as I said earlier in the piece, we need to obviously mimic everything around us, thinking, you know, as we're observing the natural environment, taking in everything like a sponge. This is how it is. We can't seem to be ourselves. We tend to be someone who we're not, which is sad, but it's a true fact. And I'm guessing also the neurotypicals will feel this way too, trying to fit in and blend in because of the fear of rejection and whatever else it may be. Sometimes in saying this though, for us autistics, it feels like we have to put on a brave front, an act, you could say, adopting a personality to be considered acceptable to society or acceptable by our peers. That being said, we then tend to live in fear of being judged for our everyday differences, misjudged, misunderstood. Like I've mentioned, like why female autistics, you know, gets misjudged and all that, the 3 M's about it, of the woman's with autism and that. I'll link that again in the description or iBar by me, so feel free to click on that to understand where I'm coming from, because I'm trying to keep this short and brief for you. That to not be negatively targeted by their peers or whoever, so therefore we have to mimic everything around us, be it the people we're associating with, and also suppressing our actual natural traits itself. And obviously, again, yes, it's really done exhausting. So obviously, to recap, masking is a common behavioural trait within the autistic community, right? Where in social mimicry, we need to try and find a way that we're used to mask our other autistic behaviours just in the social settings. Okay? Despite it all, basically this will mean that we have to convey or consciously employ certain everyday techniques from social observations such as forced eye contact and engaging rehearsed conversations with you guys in order to blend in, fit in, and whatever else into that natural surroundings we're in. Classic example as before, the party. Instead of hopefully to prevent our basic autistic traits from sticking out. Briefly, as a recap, what my life is like when I'm masking or how it came about, hearsay. Also, in saying this though, as a recap, when I was growing up, I learned to try and force myself not to say too much, obviously, because obviously at that time, my parents, especially my mum, I don't mean to bring this out for my mum, I will apologise if she's watching this part of the series or my segment, that in saying this, I had to watch what I said, because of the fearful thing was, what will others think? Because it's not what I say, it's how I say certain things that might come a rude or abrupt or anything like that. But sometimes you could say it. I tried my darn hardest to say how it is in my concept and understanding. Anyway, and saying this also, basically I did myself a few go overheads of the scripts of when I am engaging in a conversation, observing my natural environment, as said, as a recap, just watch around me, and then hopefully engage in a decent just conversation. Hello, how are you? Vice versa, you know, trying to act all natural and human, you know, all normal, as they say. Sometimes also in saying this though, basically also had the freaking out of answering how to appropriately answer to the phone, which I always dread until now. I'm learning to overcome that anxiety of answering phones. Again, I did that earlier this week. I'll link that in the iBar above me. Just as to end up here, social masking in girls is thought to be one of the primary reasons that women with autism often go undetected in adulthood, right? So remember this. Research suggests that the ability to mask may even prevent those who have been flagged for assessment from getting the formal assessment that they so deserve for the diagnosis that they need to ease their mind and maybe hopefully hope for the best. In saying this though, in addition to this, a recent survey of autistic adults reported universal exclusion from their masking, which is why it is important that we develop, again, better diagnostic tools for women on the spectrum. Again, this will have more information on this of what I'm reading from, again, also in the description below if you're wanting to find out more of this article as well. So this quickly ends basically Autism and Masking Part 2. Hopefully you like this. Smash the like button. Comment below for me, for anyone out there, be it autistic or maybe neurotypicals, they does mask, the reasons to why you do it, and how do you overcome these kind of feelings of, you know, that many of us do, fear of rejection, trying to blend in, fit it in the crowd, hopefully wanting acceptance in it. Do you have any maybe strategy tools that you do that maybe is different from how I go about it? Feel free to leave it in the description below so we can open it up for discussion. Also, feel free to share these videos around to family and friends. Feel free to also follow me on my social medias. And also, as I said before, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. If you want to be on the bandwagon to join me on my journey with Aspie's syndrome and the like, so that you can get up to date with me. Also, in saying this, turn on the notification bell for future videos like these, mental health and everything else, and I'm hoping to bring it out to you guys. And also, before I leave, as a recap, also, as I said before, if you haven't seen it or not, I have just briefly started a quick short page of coffee. I'll link it in the description below, as well as, you know, somewhere on the screen, the link if you're wanting to kindly donate to my page, and that the amount you pay to me will go towards my projects and stuff, into my PayPal account, into what I'm doing right now, so that we can continue this together, because obviously, as I said, at this point in time, it's important for me to continue this as well, because it's my passion, and in saying this, hopefully with enough funds of what I'm doing to buy my new pet laptop, hopefully, while I'm saving up for a bit more of it, hopefully each week as well, because my main goal hopefully for this is come by June, July next year, if all goes well, if I reach the goal target of what I want, as in the amount saved and everything for the laptop and everything else, we can keep this ball rolling of continuation of more videos like these, and hopefully I can take you more outside and, you know, share you guys what I do outside as well as indoors and whatever else you may like to see. And in saying this, I'm just trying to tidy up my other crowdfunding pages, just to let you know. It will come to fruition hopefully sometime this week of doing this. And also in saying this, I'll keep you posted either via Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, if you've been following me and you really want to support my projects or causes that I'm doing right now, because I believe that hopefully, in saying this as being an advocate, that it will run smoothly for me, and with the right support from you guys, it should be deemed done possible. So whatever to do, guys, do what you love what we do, and I'll